Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. We are driving in upstate New York. I am a third year medical student in upstate New York and my name is Ezra. I probably should have said that before I said anything else. But yeah, thanks for coming along with me today. I'm going to see my family in a place in some midpoint. They live currently in the Hudson River Valley and I'm in the greater Syracuse area in upstate New York. And this is the vlog. I think I'm going to talk about my third year of med school, how that's going so far. I'm currently in it. I'm about just a little less than maybe it's moderately less than 2.5 months. I wonder what that car is. Maybe it's under vehicle, under what's it called? Anyway, I'm in my third year of medical school, and it's going well so far. So the first 2 years, of course, is books and lectures and tests nonstop. Third year of medical school is more of rotations, less testing, but testing still does exist in the form of shelf exams. So, for instance, I had my internal medicine rotation for 2 months, and then I had a shelf exam, which was like 125 questions that I had to take, and it covered a lot of topics in internal medicine. So, third year so far is going pretty nice. I do have to say it's going pretty decently because I do have a lot of free time now, or that's all relative to what I had before. In the first 2 years, you study. You never know if you're doing enough studying, and there's no point where you say, hey, I did enough studying, because you take the exam and then you forget all the material, and then when you have to apply the material later for another exam, you forgot it, right? So you constantly are studying for board exams, for module exams, which you have all this information that you have to do for each system, respiratory system. You take a respiratory module, blah 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 blah. So third year, did my internal medicine. That was very rewarding. First month was outpatient, so in a clinic, and then I go in, I take a physical, I take a history, I do a physical exam, and then I report back to my attending, give a little report, and then we go in to see the patient together. That was a nice experience. You have to do your note. Not every third year medical student, every rotation allows students to do notes. It is extra work for the students, but you obviously should get experience writing notes. And I would look back and once they were reviewed and signed by my attending, and it's very rewarding because oftentimes the attending doesn't change that much. They agree with what you wrote, they like how you styled it, and if not, they'll give the feedback that they didn't like it. But for the most part, that was a very rewarding experience my first month. My second month was inpatient internal medicine, so these are people that are on the hospital floor. I also helped overlook the ICU patients. So it is a small community hospital in upstate New York. We send a lot of cases, the very emergent cases, out to Syracuse, the Upstate Medical Center in Syracuse. I think there's something to be said about in third year, you don't necessarily have to see the top-notch cases, very serious. So we have to send this to a top medical center. You don't have to. You just want to get your hands wet, understand the basics of medicine. How is sepsis treated? How is CHF treated? What is the criteria for sepsis? Blah blah blah. Just the basics, the fundamentals. That requires in and of itself a lot of education. And so, don't worry about if you're an underclassman or you're someone interested in medical school and you're like, oh, well, this place is not a level 1 trauma center, or this place has only this amount of beds in their hospital. I really would not worry much about that, because as long as you have an attending that is willing to teach you, that is a solid experience that you're going to get. So, for instance, maybe some of you can relate, or in the New York area. Maybe I sound like I'm from Long Island because I am from Long Island. Stony Brook University is actually quite close to where I'm from. So, Stony Brook University Hospital has just hundreds of beds. It's a very advanced hospital, has a level 1 trauma center. It's one of the best, it's probably the best hospital in Suffolk County, New York, and also arguably one of the best hospitals on the island and then in the state. And so, it is a bummer that we see some cases get sent out to Syracuse, but I mean, it's the best interest of the patients to provide them with the best care possible, with the best means of support possible. So I'm sorry that I'm recording vertically right now. I am not, I'm not fond of recording vertically like this. However, I tried setting up a sort of dash cam for my GoPro here, but that didn't really go that well because those suction thingies, they just come right off. So just cheap stuff that I'm getting, or I'm not really sure how I'm using it correctly. So right now I'm using my current iPhone holder to the wind or the AC vents of my car, and the only way the GoPro stays on there and doesn't fall off is if it's in vertical position. So in the future, hopefully, if I do more car vlogs, I'll have it horizontal. So I think I mentioned or hopefully I fully mention this, because sometimes I just go off on tangents, as you probably understand. But I'm from Long Island, and then my family, we all moved. They moved to the Hudson River Valley region, so the Catskills region sort of in New York. So that's like 2 hours away from Long Island, or maybe an hour and a half, depending on how fast you drive and how the traffic is through the city. So they moved to that area, kind of near Poughkeepsie, and then I'm in the greater Syracuse area, so we're meeting in a place in the middle. And we're seeing, I'm going to see my dog today. It's a relatively new addition to the family. This black lab, I think pit mix, no one really knows. He's a beautiful mutt though, and I missed him a lot. So we're gonna, maybe I'll show you it at the end of the video, or I'll kind of just insert him right now. But this terrain that you're seeing right now is very typical of upstate New York highways. Just trees and trees and trees. And I do have to say, if you're into scenery and you like trees and you like autumn and the leaves changing, if you go to any upstate highway, it's absolutely stunning. Also with like recent snowfalls, you just have a complete whiteout on the trees. I did my undergrad at Binghamton University, which is also in upstate New York, the southern tier of New York. So I've been in upstate New York for a while. My medical school is in also like the Hudson River Valley region, Catskills area. So that's not too far upstate, but some Long Islanders, some city people will obviously say that's upstate. So I've been upstate, baby. How would I compare upstate to Long Island? Is an adjustment. I come from a place where you could have multiple bagel shops within a few minute radius from you. Bagel pizzas. Those are like the staple foods for Long Island. And you get up here, and there's really no consistent good pizza choice. It's hard to find like a bagel store up here. Given I'm in a small town in upstate New York, I'm sure some of the bigger places, but even like Binghamton, that's like a big name, and that didn't really have like a legit like bagel store. It had like a donut. I think it had a donut shop, and it was known for its donuts, and I guess they had bagels too, but I forget where that was. That was like heading towards downtown Binghamton from Vestal there. But yeah, upstate New York is not known for its bagels and its pizza, and nor is it known for its diversity. It's 2020, and diversity is very much a topic. And right now, I see a lot of like Confederate flags. Maybe we'll pass one here in upstate, but that's not something I saw on Long Island when I was living there in my childhood at all. But I think a lot of people are emboldened by the current political situation in the United States, and they feel like that's an appropriate thing to hang up. Obviously, you can probably tell I disagree with that wholeheartedly, that I don't think the Confederate flags are a good thing to fly around whatsoever. I think it's particularly insensitive, and to be honest, they did lose, right? They lost. They're traitors. They lost. They believe in slavery, which is disgusting. So, isn't it funny how the first thing I talked about was food? Upstate versus Long Island. Upstate has a very spread out population. Population-wise, it's not there. It seems like. So, it's all relative to downstate, of course. If you come from any part of the country, it's like, oh, what are you talking about? Maybe upstate New York is very comparable to the population of Long Island, but Long Island's like generally very congested. And then the further away you just get from the city, the more suburban and rural areas, any of the big names you've heard of, Buffalo, Syracuse, Binghamton, like these places, they have the population, but once you get outside, like 10 minutes outside, you're just in farmland territory, baby. Like that really doesn't, you really don't see that on Long Island. Of course you don't see that in the city. I usually don't wear a backwards cap, but when everything shut down, including the barber shops, I felt, I was inquisitive about how I could possibly be my own barber, right? And you might be able to see where this is going. Very telling that I had this hat on, but I thought I did a decent job in the past with cutting my own hair, and I did like a decent job with like the fades on the side. And however, when it comes to the back of the hair, I just can't do it. I can't do it with scissors. I can't do it with the buzzer, the clippers. Like I just can't get it right, and it's very awkward. Like trying to hold like a comb and then like a mirror and then like a scissors or the buzzer, like all with just two hands, and you're trying to. Yeah, you got the handheld mirror and you got the mirror in front of you. It just doesn't work the way I want it to work. Yeah. Hopefully I don't have like something on my face besides this moderate amount of acne. I would like to thank the face masks for that, by the way. Completely destroyed my skin in 2020. So back to third year. I really appreciate if you came for the third year content specifically, and you've just been a trooper. I think third year is particularly interesting because you get that experience, going in, seeing patients, talking to people, talking to clinical staff, learning from attendings. That's how you really learn, right? You don't really learn from the books. You learn by doing things, mostly. And however, we do have these shelf exams, right? So I took my internal medicine shelf exam, and you take it, and you just really hope you're prepared, because there's a set curriculum for the first 2 years, and in third year, you're just kind of hoping that you somehow soaked up this information somehow. So around the block, you might heard like, oh, you should study this, you should study this book for this shelf exam, and or do UWorld questions. So that's the thing that I really don't enjoy, though. Doing questions just to learn the content. I should be doing questions to learn, to really understand what I don't know. But when you don't know most of the stuff, because there's no like set curriculum where you have to read stuff. I'm sorry for just saying stuff all the time, but I think you get what I mean, right? Then you're just getting all these questions wrong, and it's a slow time that it's a very arduous, like slow process of answering questions and reading it fully, because you just haven't heard that stuff before. And so I would be a lot less stressed out about all the shelf exam stuff if I didn't have to take another board exam. So you take another board exam, step 2, at the end of third year. Step 1 was at the end of second year. So that's going. Overall, it's just going fine. It's going fine. I have a lot of free time relative to the first 2 years. And if you are in the first 2 years right now, shut off this video and go study, damn it. But I'm just kidding. But it's rewarding to go past the 2 years and be in a position where you'd be unfindable, or you'd be really involved, whatever your situation sees fit. But regardless, you're not reading books all the time or doing PowerPoints all the time. We're gonna pass this trailer right here. You might be wondering what car I drive. It's like, is that a decal? Yeah, that is a black decal on a red Jeep Renegade. So Jeep Renegades are relatively new. It's one of my favorite words, by the way, relatively. It's a relatively new model for the Jeep. And it has that classic Jeep ride to it. It has good gas mileage. So I'm pretty happy with how things are going. So I think we are definitely coming up on 20 minutes long. And I don't want to let go of this beautiful conversation we're having. This mindless, just emptying of my head to you. It's a good time, and I'd like to thank you for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, this is upstate New York. These are the trees. This is the scenery. This is me, Ezra. Where do I think I'll end up practicing? That's a great question. First, I'd like to figure out where I'm going to do residency. Residency is your postgraduate 3 to 5, even more than 5 in some cases, training. You get paid a modest salary, but you're working like 80 hours a week. But anyway, you do a residency after med school, and after residency, that's when you make like the big bucks, right? That's when you become a real like attending physician. And so it should be an interesting few years. And if you're interested in how I progress, I think I'll keep on making videos. I don't see why I would stop making videos. This is pretty chill. Vlogging like this, you can see where I end up. My family's in New York. I don't mind being in New York. The winters are kind of tough, but not too bad. I think this winter in particular, since I'm so far up north in the Syracuse area, I'm going to get it real bad. I think I'm the type of person where wherever I end up, I'll be happy. As long as the people that I'm working with aren't assholes, right? I'll be very blunt about that. I'm not like the nicest person in the world, but I do appreciate like camaraderie, people having a personality that's not mean. I don't really know how to describe it. There's different cultures in different hospitals, and people are laid back. I feel like that opens up time. And if you create time for yourself through your personality, then I feel like nothing's really going to faze you as a physician, because time is of the essence. And when you are able to open, open it up to a different dimension through personality. People feel comfortable around you, and you're around people, that make you feel comfortable. That's a skill set. That's a situation that I want to end up in. I feel like you might see here we're going to Cooperstown. Cooperstown is home to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think that's very cool. One of the towns near me, I think it's called Canastota. I can't say without like a Minnesota accent, or Minnesotian, whatever the hell you call these people. I'm not trying to be mean here, but anyway, that small town for some reason has the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and I'm wondering if that's even recognized anywhere, because it's such a small dinky place. You would think you'd find a place like a Boxing Hall of Fame not in upstate New York. You would think you have the Baseball Hall of Fame not in upstate New York, but these are the small or big time things you have in upstate New York. So I could see myself ending up in a residency in upstate. I just want to have a lot of co-residents, not just 6. I want a solid program that has at least 15 co-residents, just to really build up a network and connections. Definitely not in a hospital that's as small as ours. I don't think in a hospital that's as small as the one I'm in right now would even have residency programs. But if it is anywhere the size of this hospital, just almost half the floor at points is our inpatient list. I don't think I'd be okay with that. I want multiple different apartments, people I could hear their opinions off of. I don't want to send a bunch of cases out. I think it's a solid experience as a third year to really get your feet wet with the basics, but you become an attending to be at the top of your field, right? Relative to mid-levels and nurses and whatever. You become an attending to be the top of your field, and you just may not get that experience if you're sending a lot of cases out. Now, it's not to say if you want to start, here's a caveat here. If you begin working as an attending at a big-time center, your cases, you always have to refer out, it seems like, right? If you have a mild cardiology case, it's almost as a protocol that you have to send out these cardio cases to, you have a referral. You have to get a referral from a cardiology. Whereas, if you just have a simple CHF thing or simple pneumonia, you might, at a smaller hospital that doesn't have services like pulmonology, you just take care of that yourself. And you're really working on that skill set if you are a generalist, a hospitalist, someone who works in internal medicine in the hospital. So you really have to understand that sometimes it's a double-edged sword. You may want to work in a place that you could do a lot and you don't have to refer out, but you may want to learn, not work, learn/work, because that's residency, right? You may want to do residency in a place where there's a lot of different, where people come to you and you don't send patients out to other places. I think I'm making this clear. And if I'm not, downvote this. I don't deserve your love. We're gonna pass this up.